It is time to go live. Time to go live. It is time to check the streams. Are we live? We are live on Twitch. Are we live? We are live on YouTube. Good morning. It is 8 a.m. on March 20th, 2025. It is a Thursday. We are sliding into the weekend. The weekend. It's spring break here in Austin, Texas. My son, who's a senior in high school, is laying around the house and not getting up till 1 in the afternoon. But it doesn't really feel like spring break because we didn't do anything this year. We didn't do anything. Normally we take some little getaway, some little trip. Sometimes it's a big trip. Most of the times it's a smallish trip. But we didn't do anything this year. It didn't sync up between my two children. The college spring break and the high school spring break were not in sync, which is not good for me. Not good for me. But I've been able to get a bunch of stuff done. Yeah, good morning. How we doing? So, I started this stream, my name is Keith, as a place to hang out while you're getting out job applications. I have been a professional developer for 30 years, and currently I manage a coding school, and I help people upskill and or learn to code, and hopefully get new jobs in industry. So it's been my focus for the last 4 years to help that process move along as smoothly as possible. And in service to that, I have been collecting job data for the internet and for makers of the internet. And so I thought this year on January 1st that I would provide a service to not only our students but anybody else in the job market. You know, getting a job sucks. Whether you've been laid off in the last 6 months, and it seems like there's more of those coming, especially if you work for the government. Um, the key to getting a job is just staying consistent in that search, right? We spend a lot of time learning skills. We spend a lot of time working on our portfolio. We need to spend as much time looking for a job. What does that mean? Getting up early, having a caffeinated beverage, finding some focus, and just getting on that grind. A lot of things you can't control in the job search. One thing you can control is how many applications you get out every day, and we're here to help with that. So you got an appointment with me Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. Get up, get your caffeinated beverage, and put me on. Listen to me in the background while you're searching those job boards, while you're getting out those applications, while you're working all the angles, while you're hanging out on LinkedIn, letting your connections know, while you're searching for individual company sites and their job postings to see if there's some opportunities out there that don't quite make it to the job boards. You're working every angle, right? Whether you're researching what live events to go through on Meetup in your neighborhood, lots of different kinds of things. Oh, the sun is coming up. Let me shut that door a little bit. The sun is coming up, but we're focused on one thing, and that is getting out as many job applications as we can, using as many connections as we can to get that job. Our full-time job right now is to get a job, and we're going to take it as seriously as we would, learning that new stack at that new company. So I'm here to help out with that. I do it in two different ways. Typically, I look at those job numbers and we go over those, get a sense of where the trends are in the industry. And then we talk about news. News is oddly a little light today, so we'll see what we got going on there. But let's check out the numbers. The numbers today. The numbers that I track are JavaScript developer numbers. Lots of different kinds of programming languages, roles, but the largest chunk of those is the internet. It's web applications, websites, web connected content. And the core language there is JavaScript. Obviously, you can use a lot of different languages on the back end. Harder to track all those little corners of the internet. But if you want to get a good thumbnail overview of where the health of the internet, checking JavaScript developers is a good place to start. And so I do that by going on Indeed every morning and I search for JavaScript developer roles. I note how many new applications have dropped in the last 24 hours, and during that time, I mark it, and I get these nice graphs. So these graphs here are the last 7 days, the last 6 months, and the last year. We can see in the last 7 days we got a little bit of a trend up, but as we look at the last 6 months, we can see that really it's just kind of a little variation along a relatively flat line where we sort of had bottomed out a week ago, and now we're slowly edging back up again. In general, we're higher than we were 6 months ago. That's always good to hear. But when we look at where we are compared to a year ago, we are down considerably, 25%, 25%, but 15 to 20% lower, smaller number of job postings posted every day than there were a year ago. That is no bueno. We've talked a lot about it on this channel in terms of what might be causing that. There's clearly a lot of stuff in the news that you are probably aware of. The uncertainty in the markets that is leading businesses to be nervous, and as a result, circle of wagons, putting on hiring freezes, laying off people. All that uncertainty does not bode well for hiring. Does that mean that there aren't any jobs being posted? Nope, we got new jobs every day. I see new jobs posted every day. There are jobs out there to be had. It's just right now we got those headwinds. There are fewer than there were a year ago, and potentially, depending on your little niche, there might be more people in the marketplace fighting over those jobs. So that just means, again, we need to be all the more organized, all the more consistent. We need to be working on that portfolio. We need to be sharpening up our LinkedIn and our resumes. If it's not getting you the calls, you need to be looking at that. And you also need to be upskilling. That's, again, what my day job sort of focuses on. The market changes. If you were laid off from a job you've been at 3 years, 5 years, longer, you need to look long and hard at how the industry has moved on and how you can upskill to, stay current in your skill set. I've been doing this for more than 30 years. 1993, I started getting paid professionally as a programmer. The web came around just about, for me, just about 30 years ago. I think it was around June or July of 1995 that I built my first web page. So, long time. All right. So, the other thing, again, we look at is the news, and a good news feed tends to be the LinkedIn news. If you're in the job search and you're not on LinkedIn 3, 4, 5 times a day, that's a mistake. You need to be focused on looking for jobs. LinkedIn has its own job board, so that's key. But also just making yourself more visible. I have been actively more visible on LinkedIn than I was 10 years ago. If you look at the posts that I'm making, I'm posting something or reposting something every day. Uh, you know, as a result, again, I'm raising my, it might be news stories that catch our eye, it might be a comment that we make about something, it might be, in my case, reposting people that are looking for work, everything that we can to catch somebody's eye. We want to be raising our visibility because, again, we have become so connected to staying in our house, working from home. We've gotten out of the habit of putting ourselves out there, and that is a mistake. That's a mistake, frankly. Need to start getting out a little bit more. We just got done with South by Southwest here in Austin, Texas, which is a big tech conference if you're not familiar. And I got probably a little too much out there. It took me a couple of days of resting and recharging. I would not say I'm an introvert. I would say I'm an extrovert who has a lot of things he wants to get done, and most of those involve me staying by myself. So when I'm out there, I get lots of connections, meeting lots of people. I'm not going to be running around glad handing everybody in the room, but I do get a lot of energy from conversations with other people within our industry. So, I often forget to put myself out there. When I do go out there, I always get a charge out of it, and I'm reminded that I need to do that a little bit more often. So, for the last couple of years, that's been kind of on my radar to at least once a month go out to a meetup or some sort of event. Let's look at some news stories. Top skills on the rise. Artificial intelligence literacy tops LinkedIn's inaugural list of skills on the rise. A data bank ranking of the 15 skills that professionals are prioritizing now and that companies are hiring for right now, with 70% of the skills used in most jobs expected to change by 2030. This is where we are as a company, my day job. We have been a coding boot camp for over a decade. We are in our 11th year of being around, and for the first nine and a half years, we were solely focused on getting new people into the industry at 0 to 1, teaching people with no skills who are job changers who wanted to get into the industry. That's been our focus. But the market's changing. A lot of boot camps went out of business in the last 18 months for a number of different reasons. But the market's changing, and we have to change with it. So our focus now is primarily on upskillers. We're looking to help people who are already working in industry. Again, maybe they've been laid off, and helping them upskill and stay current as our industry changes. And of course, it's always changing. The code that I write today is very different than the code that I wrote even 3 years ago because of AI's influence on that. The huge unlock for me with AI is not that it makes the code that I normally write that much more efficient, although it does to some extent. The big unlock for me has been helping me consider creating projects in languages that I have not learned or have not spent a lot of time with. I started a PHP project, and I haven't written PHP in over a decade. I mean, I came up on PHP. That's all I wrote for the first 10, 15 years, besides JavaScript. But everything changed with Node and everything on the back end. So then the focus was all on JavaScript, and I hadn't touched PHP in forever. They got frameworks. They got a whole bunch of stuff in PHP that I have never touched, and So I started experimenting. That's with side projects and getting back into that. And I've done a lot of Python projects in the last year also. Not a language that I've ever spent any time with. So, the huge unlock for me, I know how to program, but I don't know the syntax of this language or that language or this language. So if I sit down and I want to knock out a project in Python, which frankly is a language I haven't not only cared about, but frankly disliked in the past, now I can sit down and go like, all right, here's what I want to build. This is kind of what it looks like. Give me a boilerplate, give me a framework to work with, and it spits something out. I go, okay, this is great. Now I need to do this. In JavaScript, I would write it like this. How do you do that in Python? And it spits out some code. And I go like, oh, that's good. That's good. And I copy and paste that in. So I write a little bit more, and I go like, oh, you know what? This is not really making any sense. Let's back up a little bit. Let's do it this way. It spits out some more code, and I go like, I don't understand that code at all. Like, what's that all about? And it explains it to me, and then I'm off to the races. Last year, I started working on an Arduino project, which I kind of danced around Arduino for years, but I hadn't really committed to it. So, the big unlock for me is, again, not learning how to code with AI or even even getting that much better or that much more efficient with the languages I already know, but really experimenting, playing around, finding joy in all different kinds of programming. That's where AI has been the big, huge unlock for me. So the list identifies the emerging areas professionals should invest in to get ahead. The rankings highlight technical skills such as LLM development and application, as well as soft skills like adaptability. Let's see what that looks like. Change is constant in today's work landscape as technological transformations upend the business as usual and force companies and professionals alike to adapt. Embracing skills-based hiring practices to build a workforce equipped for the future, which could expand global talent pools by 6.1 times globally. Not sure where they came up with the 0.1 from. For professionals, it's about staying ahead of the curve, whether that's learning new in-demand skills or deepening existing expertise, and many are already taking action. A quarter of professionals say they plan to focus on learning new skills this year. Again, that's what my day job is focused on right now. It's helping people. So what are those skills? AI literacy. This is one of those kind of we've been hearing about this for a while. The thing about AI literacy that's challenging is it's a moving target, right? The ways that I was utilizing AI a year ago has completely changed, certainly as a programmer, but also in the kind of stuff that I ask for. So, it's not like the traditional, I'm going to go learn a skill. It's like, I just need to live with this thing and mess with it every day because I need to get good at what it's good at. And then every 3 to 6 months, I need to go and rethink what's possible again. Because there were things I asked for, even in November or December that I've gone back and asked for again, and it's given me better results. So there are a lot of changes coming with AI for sure, but they're coming every day. So we just need to, immerse ourselves in it and focus completely on it. Most common job titles: software engineer, product manager, chief executive officer. Most common industries: technology and internet, higher education, IT services, and consulting. And there are frankly very few industries that don't fall under the technology, that don't overlap in the Venn diagram with technology and internet, right? Like they're all just, you've got John Deere, the tractor company, who's got a big office in Austin, Texas, with a bunch of developers who are writing code for drones that are flying around farms and self-driving tractors and all kinds of different technologies. Like, if a 150-year-old company whose job was to make iron tractors is in the software business, like everything's changed. So, much less vertical farming and all these other kind of crazy ideas, which are finally kind of finding their way. Conflict mitigation, what's on the rise? Whether it's the push or pull of return to office policies or managing intergenerational teams, navigating workplace conflicts is critical for fostering collaboration and leading agile teams. The most common jobs are customer service rep, administrative assistant, project manager. Most common industries are all the same that we just saw. Yeah, this one is going to be interesting. The customer service representative, there's a big, huge hit there. Administrative assistant. It's interesting that they're saying that these are roles that are on the rise because, part of the, assumption is that if people are going to be more efficient and we're going to need less people to do the same amount of work, we have less people to manage. If we have agents who are working as assistants for managers and C-suite people, do we need less administrative assistants? That's an interesting one. I'm curious about that. Adaptability. The rapid pace of change in the workplace, from economic shifts to technological advancements, continuous learning and resilience are key in staying ahead of the curve. Most common job titles: teacher, administrative assistant, project manager. Most common industries: higher education, technology, internet, media, and communications. This is an interesting one too, because while certainly teachers are not going away, the way that we are learning is going to be shifting. And in our space, in the boot camp space, we have moved away from the teaching model. We don't hire teachers anymore. We went for 10 years having a stable of teachers teaching classes, and I was one of them. I got hired by this company as a part-time instructor 8 years ago. But the market's changing, and we're shifting. We think the teacher is the problem in learning, and not the solution. And our approach is different. Process optimization. Organizations are doubling down on operational efficiency and cost effectiveness to stay competitive and drive sustainable growth amid constant workplace change. The most common titles are operations manager, project manager, chief executive officer, technology, internet, higher education, business consultants. Again, these are all really interesting because of the way they are changing. I think the project manager role is going to be key as we move forward. But one thing that I thought a lot about recently is that the project managers, there are different kinds of project managers. There are some people who really understand people, and they're good people managers. 30 years, I've worked with a lot of managers. Some of them are just better at managing people, managing, personalities in the team, keeping everything moving smoothly, putting out fires, clearing the path so that the people can do the best work. And then there are other project managers who are good with the project and not so much with the people. They understand product. They are good at identifying, what makes an engaging experience and what processes are in place to get the best product out the door. And again, they're not as good with the EQ. It's going to be interesting to see how that changes. Again, there will be less people to manage on individual projects. The timelines will increase because they'll be a little bit more efficient. At the end of the day, getting to a project that has product market fit is the key for everybody getting and keeping jobs, right? So it'll be interesting to see the kind of managers who excel during this time. I'm curious about it. I think that those kind of EQ managers will be less in demand than the ones who really understand product market fit. Because at the end of the day, that's what keeps the doors open. That's what grows the companies. But with that might come higher churn. So it'll be challenging for sure. Innovative thinking, creative problem solving is imperative as AI transforms the work landscape, both in advancing new technologies and maintaining human ingenuity that machines can't replace. Creative director, teacher, writer, most industries, higher education. A lot of crossover here. The innovative thinking again is an interesting thing when we talk about AI, because the AI can really only come up with solutions that it's seen before, essentially, right? It's got training data, huge billions of points of data. It's seen just about everything that the human has created, and as a result, when you're asking for a thing or a series of ideas to solve a problem, if somebody has solved that problem before and you just don't know about it, it might come up with some interesting solutions that, again, you're just unfamiliar with. But truly innovative thinking, coming up with thinking, finding an innovative solution for something that has never been solved before, it's not going to be super helpful with that. Question is how much of that is really needed? And the answer is probably not that much. But that still is going to be the purview of humans. And it's not like we can't use AI to help with that. AI can lay the groundwork for us to make those breakthroughs, those innovative breakthroughs. But again, another one of the ways that we change how we work. Public speaking at an early stage, from the intern to the C-suite, effective verbal communication is essential for inspiring confidence in your ideas and expanding your influence. Program, project manager, teacher, account manager, higher education. This is another one of those things that, again, was a lot more common pre-pandemic, where we had to get up in front of other people and make presentations. As a person who's bounced between education and production work for 30 years, I've got over, I think it's like 7,500 hours in front of students. I feel very comfortable getting up in front of a crowd of people and talking extemporaneously about a topic that I am familiar with. But not everybody else is, and that has been a point of change. This is interesting. So there's a bunch more of those, but we're kind of running out of time for today. So why don't we pick this up tomorrow? This is actually lots of good stuff to talk about here. Let's reconvene in 23 hours and 30 minutes. We're going to get back to it. This is Dev Jobs Daily. My name is Keith. I am here every morning, Monday through Friday, from 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, checking out what's going on in the job industry job search for the tech industry, and being a hangout while you're getting out those job applications. So if you know anybody who's in the job search and needs a little boost, needs a person to hang out with to be consistent about getting up in the morning and getting those job applications out, please share the stream with them. If you haven't connected with me on LinkedIn yet, feel free to reach out. I like to grow my network. This is one of those ways that I'm raising my visibility and helping people in the ways that I can. So we are going to again reconvene tomorrow for Friday. Friday is always a big day in terms of you know the news that's out, in terms of the information that we can kind of talk about. So we'll hit that tomorrow. More job numbers and more tech news. And